As of May 9, 2025, there is no officially declared war between India and Pakistan, but tensions have escalated significantly due to a terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir on April 22, 2025, followed by retaliatory actions. This has led to a tense standoff, with fears of further escalation between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. Below is a detailed overview of the situation, based on available information from web sources and posts on X, covering the events, responses, military capabilities, historical context, and potential implications. 1. Background: the Pahalgam attack incident. On April 22, 2025, a terrorist attack in Baisaran Valley near Pahalgam, Anantnag District, Jammu and Kashmir, killed 26 people, including 25 Hindu tourists, one Nepali national, and injured over 20 others. The Resistance Front, TRF, initially claimed responsibility via telegram, but later denied involvement. India linked the attack to Pakistan-based militant groups Lashkar-e-Taiba, LET, and Jaish-e-Mohammed, JEM. Indian accusations. India accused Pakistan of sponsoring the attack, citing intelligence that the perpetrators were trained in Pakistan. Pakistan denied any involvement, calling for an international investigation. Public and political reaction. The attack, targeting civilians rather than security forces, sparked widespread outrage in India, reminiscent of the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi vowed to punish the perpetrators beyond their imagination, fueling a war frenzy in India. 2. Escalation and Indian responses. Following the Pahalgam attack, India implemented severe diplomatic, economic, and military measures, escalating tensions. Diplomatic and economic actions. Suspension of Indus Waters Treaty. On April 23, 2025, India suspended the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty, which governs water sharing of the Indus River system. This was a historic move, as the treaty had been upheld even during previous wars. Reports from Pakistan indicated flooding in Muzaffarabad due to unannounced water releases from India's Uri Dam and a drying Chenab River in Sialkot. Pakistan called this an act of war. Trade and travel restrictions. India halted all trade with Pakistan, suspended visa services, expelled Pakistani diplomats, and ordered Pakistani nationals to leave India. Pakistan reciprocated by suspending Indian visas, closing its airspace to Indian aircraft, and expelling Indian diplomats by April 30, 2025. The Atari Wagah border ceremony was scaled down, and the symbolic handshake was discontinued. Suspension of agreements. Pakistan suspended the 1972 Simla Agreement, which established the Line of Control, LOC, while India closed the main border crossing and barred Pakistani aircraft from its airspace. Military actions. Operation Sindoor. On May 7, 2025, India launched missile strikes, codenamed Operation Sindoor, targeting 9 alleged terrorist camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir, POK, including locations in Kotli, Ahmadpur East, Muzaffarabad, Bagh, and Muridki. India claimed the strikes hit LET and JEM infrastructure, avoiding Pakistani military or civilian targets, and were conducted from Indian airspace to prevent escalation. Civil defense measures. On May 5, 2025, India's Ministry of Home Affairs announced civil defense drills across 7 states on May 7th, the first since 1971, including air raid sirens, blackout measures, and civilian evacuation training. Border skirmishes. Between April 24th and May 6, 2025, both countries engaged in heavy cross-border firing and artillery shelling along the LOC, breaking the 2021 ceasefire. India reported 16 civilian deaths from Pakistani shelling, while Pakistan claimed 31 civilian deaths, including children, from Indian strikes. Indian military posture, PM Modi, granted the armed forces complete operational freedom to choose the mode, targets, and timing of responses. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh stated on May 7th that military operations were ongoing. Indian forces targeted Pakistani air defense systems on May 8th after Pakistan attempted drone and missile strikes on Indian cities, including Amritsar, which were intercepted by India's S-400 system. 3. Pakistan's responses. Pakistan denied involvement in the Pahalgam attack and condemned India's actions as provocative, warning of severe retaliation. Military retaliation. Pakistan claimed to have shot down 5 Indian aircraft, including French-made Rafale jets, during Operation Sindoor, and 25 Indian drones over cities like Karachi and Lahore. India dismissed these claims as misinformation, though reports of a plane crash in Indian Punjab raised questions. Pakistan conducted a test of the Abdali surface-to-surface ballistic missile, 450-kilometer range, on May 3, 2025, to demonstrate readiness. The military reported 24 impacts from Indian strikes across 6 locations, including civilian areas. Pakistani forces attempted drone and missile strikes on Indian military targets, which India claimed were neutralized. Cross-border shelling resulted in damage to Indian infrastructure and civilian deaths. Political rhetoric. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Defense Minister Khawaja Asif called India's strikes an act of war, vowing a befitting reply at a time and place of Pakistan's choosing. Army Chief General Asim Munir emphasized heightened vigilance and readiness. Pakistan's ambassador to Moscow warned of using the full spectrum of power, both conventional and nuclear, in case of war. Domestic sentiment. In Pakistan, public anger grew, particularly in Rawalpindi and Punjab, with protests demanding military retaliation. However, some voices, like software engineer Yusuf Nisar, urged de-escalation, citing Pakistan's economic crisis and ongoing conflicts with Taliban and Baloch separatists. 4. Military capabilities and balance. Both countries have modernized their militaries since their last major clash in 2019, increasing the stakes of any conflict. India, budget and forces. India's defense budget for 2025 to 26 is approximately $80 billion, with 1.4 million active personnel, 4,614 tanks, and advanced systems like the S-400 air defense and BrahMos cruise missiles. Air Force. India operates 36 French Rafale jets, with more on order, armed with Meteor missiles, alongside upgraded Russian Su-30 MKI fighters. Drones and missiles. India has acquired Israeli Heron Mark II drones and U.S. Predator drones, with the Agni series of intercontinental ballistic missiles for strategic deterrence. Nuclear arsenal. India is estimated to have around 250 nuclear warheads, capable of delivery via aircraft, missiles, and submarines. Pakistan. Budget and forces. Pakistan's defense budget is $8.19 billion, with 650,000 active personnel and 2,400 tanks. Its military is stretched by conflicts with Taliban and Baloch insurgents. Air Force. Pakistan operates Chinese J-10 jets, comparable to Rafale, with PL-15 missiles, though its air force is smaller and less advanced. Drones and missiles. Pakistan uses Turkish Bayraktar TB2 and Akinci drones, and has short and medium-range ballistic missiles, including the Abdali. Nuclear arsenal. Pakistan also has around 250 nuclear warheads, with delivery systems including missiles and aircraft. Its nuclear doctrine includes potential use of tactical nukes on its own territory to counter Indian advances. Analysis. India holds a significant advantage in conventional forces, budget, and technology. Pakistan's military is weakened by economic constraints and internal security challenges, with limited ammunition reserves, reportedly enough for only 96 hours of combat. However, Pakistan's nuclear capabilities and willingness to escalate pose risks. 5. International reactions and mediation efforts. The standoff has raised global concerns, with several countries and organizations attempting to prevent escalation. United States. The U.S. issued a Level 4 Do Not Travel advisory for Jammu and Kashmir and urged de-escalation. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Indian NSA Ajit Doval and Pakistani officials, emphasizing open communication. However, analysts note the Trump administration's limited engagement compared to past U.S. mediation efforts. United Nations. The UN Security Council held closed consultations on May 5, 2025, at Pakistan's request, condemning the Pahalgam attack and calling for restraint. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres urged de-escalation. Other countries. Iran offered to mediate, while China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi called for calm. Russia, the UK, UAE, Japan, and Turkey issued travel advisories or supported peace talks. Bangladesh supported de-escalation, reflecting regional concerns about a wider conflict. Public figures. Pakistani Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai called for peace, highlighting the human cost of war. 6. Historical context. India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars since their partition in 1947, primarily over Kashmir, with India winning each. 1947 to 48. The First Indo-Pak. War ended with a UN-mediated ceasefire, dividing Kashmir into Indian-administered 2/3 and Pakistani-administered 1/3 regions, with the LOC established. 1965. Triggered by Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar, the war ended in a stalemate with the Tashkent Agreement. 1971. India's intervention in East Pakistan's independence struggle led to Bangladesh's creation after a 13-day war. 1999. The Kargil War saw Pakistan-backed militants and troops infiltrate Indian Kashmir, leading to Indian airstrikes and over 1,000 deaths, mostly Pakistani. Other significant clashes include the 2008 Mumbai attacks, 2016 Uri attack, and 2019 Pulwama bombing, each followed by Indian surgical or airstrikes and Pakistani retaliation. The current crisis mirrors these patterns, but is notable for targeting civilians and India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty. 7. Risks of escalation. Nuclear threat. Both countries possess around 250 nuclear warheads each, making Kashmir a global nuclear flashpoint. A 2019 study by Rutgers University predicted that a nuclear war in 2025 could cause 125 million immediate deaths, destroy cities, collapse infrastructure, and trigger global famines due to climatic effects. Miscalculation. U.S. intelligence reports from the 1990s warned of a high risk of nuclear exchange due to miscalculations or irrational responses. Pakistan's doctrine allows for tactical nuclear use on its soil, which could provoke Indian retaliation. Current dynamics. The deep strikes into Pakistan's Punjab province, a military and political heartland, are seen as a direct provocation. Pakistan's economic fragility and internal conflicts limit its conventional capacity, increasing reliance on nuclear threats. 8. Current sentiment in social media. India. Public anger is high, with calls for strong military action. Posts on X highlight India's naval deployments and FBI Director Kash Patel's support for India, reflecting a nationalist fervor. Pakistan. Protests in Rawalpindi and Karachi demand retaliation, though some citizens fear the economic and human costs of war. X posts report Pakistani troop movements and deployments of heavy artillery to the border. Global concern. Analysts on X, like Michael Kugelman, suggest India may consider further non-military measures, while others warn of nuclear risks if escalation continues. 9. Potential outcomes. De-escalation. Third-party mediation, e.g., U.S., UN, or Iran, and mutual nuclear deterrence could prevent all-out war, as seen in past crises, e.g., 2019 Pulwama. The U.S. has historically played a key role in diffusing tensions, though its current engagement is limited. Limited conflict. Continued skirmishes or targeted strikes are likely, with both sides avoiding full-scale war due to economic and nuclear risks. India's conventional superiority may deter Pakistan from major escalation. Worst-case scenario. A miscalculation, such as Pakistan using tactical nukes or India striking military targets, could lead to a broader conflict with catastrophic global consequences. 10. Conclusion. The India-Pakistan standoff in 2025, triggered by the Pahalgam attack, has brought the two nations to the brink of conflict. India's Operation Sindoor, suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, and diplomatic measures have escalated tensions, while Pakistan's retaliatory threats and nuclear posturing raise fears of a wider war. Both countries' nuclear arsenals and the international community's calls for restraint are key factors preventing all-out conflict. However, the situation remains volatile, with the potential for miscalculation leading to devastating consequences. Note: this information is based on available sources as of May 9, 2025, including web reports, social media, and X posts.